What's going to be happening today? I'll tell you a little bit about bilingualism and what that means and how you can achieve that. And then I'll ask the panel to introduce themselves, and then we'll ask some questions of them and ask them to share their views with us. This presentation is about being bilingual. It looks at what it means to be bilingual and how being bilingual affects children. What is it that parents should know?
Some of the key messages were that you don't have to be an expert signer to be able to get started. You should try and match your signing with what your baby is doing, what your children are doing at home, day-to-day sorts of things. So don't worry about being an expert. You'll learn and grow with your baby. One other really key point is that a lot of parents get really worried and confused that they're going to make a wrong choice. There is no wrong choice. The key thing is to get language started as young as you can, because if they don't get started young, then they miss the opportunity to build up so that by the time they start school, they'll be behind and then they'll be forever trying to catch up. We don't want that. We want to get as much language in as possible. We're really strong supporters of cochlear implants and habilitation. We're really strong supporters of sign language. Whatever works for you and your family, we'll be behind you to help that make that work.
One word there, you see? Bimodal. You often see that term together with bilingual. So to learn more about these two terms, we're going to divide into two groups, one bilingual and the other bimodal. So what's bimodal? Well, the word obviously has many different spoken languages. Too many for me to even start listing. Lots. There is also a huge range of sign languages too. Bimodal means you can use both spoken language and signed language. So you can sign and you can speak. So you can use both. For example, myself, I am bimodal, as I can both speak and sign.
So for today, we're really talking about being able to speak and being able to sign. And any combination of those we are talking about today, and trying to explore how that works in families.
This also means you are using both your left and right sides of your brain. Signing is visual, and so uses that part of the brain. Spoken language uses the auditory parts. Each mode uses a different part of the brain's function.
For us, we have been bringing up our family to be bilingual. We, until we had our son, had nothing to do with sign language, anything like that previously. So in the last sort of 5 years, we just started very basic learning NZSL, and for the last couple of years we've had a private tutor that's been teaching us. And that's very important for us to have our son to be brought up bilingual, just so that he can, just relate to being deaf as he gets older, be with deaf peers, and just to really love who he is and just know that being deaf is okay and that he can mingle with deaf people and hearing people, and it doesn't really matter.
What are the challenges and efforts required by parents to teach sign language, to learn the sign language by themselves and to teach sign language to their children?
I think for me personally, it's actually been one of the hardest journeys I've actually been on. It gets to the point for me, learning sign language, after an hour my brain just goes dead, absolutely dead. Together we're about level 2 in sign language, but what we've done with our child is we've tried to always stay up with about his age group, not thinking I've got to get to level 20, because that's not the reason for learning sign language. It's actually learning for me personally, it's for learning to communicate with my son. And now our journey's changing because he's going to school, so there's a different journey again, but we've come through the last nearly 5 years, and as we've grown, the support that we've got as we've looked for it, our tutor Deborah and things like that, it's just been absolutely fantastic. It's a great experience, it's been so encouraging. But to tell you the honest, it's been one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Would teaching her sign language take her focus off the spoken language, or maybe she would be more interested in then communicating through signs and would not focus so much on language? That's why we've kind of refrain from teaching her sign language at this time. So maybe once she develops her language, then we feel we'll go for it. So what is the advice of the parents who've already used both?
Like for example, we attend a church regularly, okay, and during that church time, we're allowed to comment. Okay, we do what we call Watchtower, so we're one of Jehovah's Witnesses, so there's a Watchtower study. Kids are allowed to comment out of an article that we might be discussing as a congregation. Now for Charlie to hear us properly, we have to actually literally shout at him. Okay, so can you answer this? What? Can you answer this? Everybody can hear you in the audience because he can't pick it up. Now, the hearing aids for Cochlear are a wee bit better than hearing aids, but if we sign it to him, he gets it. And he'll verbally say over a microphone at 4 years old. So for us, yeah, it doesn't supersede. He'll do what he wants to do. Simple as that. He chooses to use his voice on more occasions, and then at some stage he will sign. Even as we sit down as a family discussing things, sometimes he signs, sometimes he speaks.
The ways to get around not being able to find, for example, community classes that suit a child or families with children, and ways to get around that. So there was one family that decided that they would have a tutor come to their home, and then other families would come and join them, and so that they could learn in an environment that was suitable, and what they were learning was catered directly to the families and children. So that sounded like a really good idea.
Just to share with you, you can also go back and talk to your advisor on deaf children, and they can arrange the first signs class. They come to your place. They come over on the weekends, in the evenings. They come according to what suits you best, and yeah, they come to your home. You can invite your friends, your preschool teachers to your place, and you all can learn together, which is great. Yeah.
Every time that we meet parents that are in very similar, in some similar circumstances as what ours is, and maybe, they vary a little bit, but you learn so much. You get parents that their children are now a lot older. They've been through some of the events that we're going through. It's like a reassurance. It's almost like somebody getting behind you and saying, it's going to be all right. This is the outcome. It's very positive, and it just gives you a little bit more confidence in the system that's in place and what's available to you there as well. And also sharing your frustrations. There's the amount of parents that are really just frustrated, and angry about everything.
And I feel that, we're kind of 5 years into our journey, and we were the parents who had the young baby who was newly diagnosed, and we knew nothing. And we really relied on the parents that were in our situation at the time that had the older children who'd been there, done that, and the information they gave us at the time was just wonderful. And so I know us two now, we want to be able to try and pass that information on to new families coming up now, to help them in any way that we can.
The feedback we've had from the parents is that they were just blown away by finally having a chance to actually get together with each other was the most important thing. Meeting and seeing and talking with other parents of deaf children, and seeing that their children are just like everybody else. They just want to get together. And for the parents to be able to meet with people who actually can set out information to help them make their decisions, that was another really important part of the weekend.